get started. Can you tell me what is their right answer?
Okay, the correct answer is E.
Okay. Now, what I find really helpful, specifically when it comes to averages
Yeah.
and, arithmetic mean and just plain old mean, they're exactly the same thing for our purposes.
Yeah.
There's no confusion whatsoever between those. Your way of slowing them down, saying, stop, wait a minute, let me make sure we're on the same page, is
Mhm.
whenever they mention average, just repeat to yourself over and over, what is the definition of an average? We divide we divide the individual added values of all the
Yeah.
numbers divided by n, the number of numbers.
Mhm.
Well, let's take a second to talk about the nature of averages, okay?
Yeah.
Um, Now, averages can be a very, very useful measure, or they can be of relatively little use at all. What's the one danger we run into with averages?
I I don't know.
Is that an average could be completely thrown off by a very large value or a very small value.
Oh yeah.
Out here I live in Austin, Texas, and Michael Dell he has a little computer company here. Um, and so out at the lake, people have their boathouses, and they're typically $1 million or $2 million houses, kind of like your little, chalet up there in Romanche country. He probably has fewer servants than you do, but
We don't have any.
um, uh, well, you probably just call them staff there, but then Michael
Cousin.
Dell has his house, and he sued the tax district because there was no house that could be compared to it, but I don't know, someone finally settled on a value of 40 or $45 million for his house, and every other house was $1 or $2 million. So the average value of houses at the lake is about $20 million. That doesn't accurately represent any of the houses out there
Yeah.
because one extreme value completely threw off the average.
Mhm.
That's why in some cases, and I'm not sure if you can tell me if it's going to be in the scope of your questions or not, sometimes the more useful measure is the median value.
Yeah.
Have you seen that come up in practice questions?
No.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
not so far.
okay. If you don't see it, then I won't spend time covering it. But a median is an alternative to an average. But okay, so the average is a perfect representative of the group if and only if the numbers are evenly distributed.
Yeah.
That is an equal amount of space between values. So the most special case is consecutive numbers.
Uh-huh.
And that's why that Gauss's theorem works with add the values from 1 to 100,
Yeah.
because they're evenly spaced. Therefore, it's
Mhm.
a perfectly uniform population. Then we can use an average to give us a snapshot. Well, it's like a first derivative, really, of that
Yeah.
entire population. And then it also works if they're evenly distributed by, let's say, all odd numbers. That means intervals of 2.
Yeah.
And if they say all even numbers, that's an interval of 2. Or if they go up by 3s or 5s or 10s, they're still evenly distributed. Then an average is still a great measure of the group. If the numbers are not, then to one degree or another, that average is going to be inaccurate. If the numbers are pretty close to being even, then the average is going to be pretty good. But
Mhm.
if you have a few values way at the low end or way at the high end, they're going to completely throw it off. So that was more than you needed, but just think the second you see average, say stop, okay, add the values, divide by the number of values. Okay, continue. So that average, so write down in your notes, use your notes just furiously.
Yeah.
More than you are here. Uh, Write down stuff that's just definition, not necessarily already getting underway working
Mhm.
on the questions. Right? AVG period equals 20. Okay. N for
Wait,
number of
sorry,
scores.
what? ABG?
AVG period
Oh.
equals 20.
Okay.
N, which we use for number of scores, equals K.
Mhm.
Okay. So that tells us the outlines of the average that we're working with of all the scores.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the average of 10 of these scores is 15. So if you want to down below, right, like AVG period 1 subset equals 15, N sub 1 equals 10. Because they just gave you those numbers in reverse order trying to throw you off.
Yeah,
you see that? In the second bunch, they gave you the number of numbers before they gave you the average. So the way that you keep them straight, say, wait a minute, time out. AVG sub 1 equals 15. N sub 1 equals 10. Now it's only at the very end do we actually find what we're looking for, what they're asking us to solve for.
Yeah.
Find the average of the remaining scores in terms of K. Okay, the remaining number of scores, let's say, well, let's make that N sub 2 equals N minus N sub 1.
Isn't it K minus 15?
No.
K minus 10.
We're starting with just the number of values. Yes, K is equal to N sub, is equal to N. I wanted to do it in terms of N rather than K. It doesn't matter, whichever you prefer.
Oh, sorry. N, so N minus 10, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now our new average is going to be based on 5 values.
Yeah.
This is the long, meticulous way of doing it while you're practicing. Later on, you may choose to eliminate that step that we just did and just do it directly. But I'm saying for now, let's do it meticulously. Yeah. And so N sub 2 is equal to 5. Now, what's it going to take for us to figure out the average of the values? Well, let's look.
Wait, did you just say N sub 2 is equal to 5?
Wait a minute.
I didn't know that.
No, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, I'm not taking the notes down that you are, as I'm just talking. Okay, no, we don't know what K is equal to. Okay, so we know that N2 is equal to...
N minus 10.
Yeah, okay. That's why we write these things down.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, they do want it in terms of K down below, so N is equal to K. Okay, K is equal to N. And then we're looking at 10 of those scores is 15. Okay, this subset of 10 scores, we know that K is greater than 10 because the average changed in value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if 10 were exactly equal to K, then the two averages would be the same. But they're not. So we know that K is greater than 10. That's just a piece of information to start with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we also know that when we took only these 10 values, the average went down.
Yeah.
Okay, that's also good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, okay, so what we're looking for here now in the second batch of numbers, this piece of the larger whole, group of values, 10 times 15, this subset equals 150 units of cheese.
Okay.
I could have said chocolate, but I said cheese. I just wanted to pick something that you would recognize. That's 150 units of cheese. Okay, 20 times K equals the units of cheese in the entire whole.
Okay.
So we need to know the average of those remaining scores, not the whole group of scores and not the first subset of scores. So that's going to involve subtraction, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's E.
can you
So
can you tell me again which is the right choice before I completely commit to this?
the right choice is E, and I understand that now as well.
Okay. Yeah, and that's why, because we're looking for a differential.
Yeah.
We're looking for a differential between the whole larger amount minus the intermediate amount,
Mm-hmm.
and that will give us the residual amount. And so we're taking the entire large amount minus the intermediate amount divided by the entire population minus the number of values in the intermediate population, and boom, there we go.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that now.